All right, so I bought one of the most expensive pairs of sneakers on New Balance's website as of right now. Retail on these are $250, kind of crazy, but happy to say that I got a pair of these, especially to compare them to the previous version because this is the second version, but also just, to show you guys what you get when you're paying that much money for a pair of these sneakers. Price point, again, not really happy about it at $250, but it is one of the nicest models, in my opinion, that New Balance offers currently, and I was a fan, and I've said it in the past, I think the 991 made in UK's might be the biggest sleeper in the US. Maybe it's because they don't have a lot of collaborations because it's a 991 UK version. But the aesthetics of the shoe I actually prefer over the popular 990 V3s or the 993s as well. I feel like the 991s was like my personal favorite out of all of them. So that being said, now you have an updated version with the 991 V2s, and I gotta tell you, there's some pros and cons definitely because of the price point, but I want to give you guys my overall thoughts about the 991 V2s, and let's go ahead and jump right in. So the colorway of this one specifically is Dove with alloy and silver. This is the second colorway to release of the 991 V2. The first one I struck out on, it was the Stone Island collaboration, looked really dope. But unfortunately I couldn't get that one. If you want to buy a pair of these on New Balance's website or the 991 V1s, I'll link them in the description of the video. This one is available only in select sizes. They don't have all the sizes left, but maybe if you're watching this video in the future, they might have another colorway that drop, and hopefully they'll have them in stock on the website, because I'm actually surprised that they sold out at the price point, but it is a new model and a nice looking model at that. So the description from the website says, since its original release in 2001, the 991 has been synonymous with superlative quality. As the first 99X model of the 21st century, the original 991 set the standard for modern running design. The made in the UK 991 V2 represents a new pinnacle with an evolved take on the genuine icon. A streamlined take on a classic pigskin suede, mesh, and synthetic upper offers a sleeker overall profile while retaining a familiar look. The most notable technological change is the addition of the full-length FuelCell cushioning. This update mirrors the upper's evolved yet familiar approach by pairing the updated construction with classic ABZORB SBS pods and ENCAP features. So as I said, you have semi-translucent ABZORB SBS pods in the midsole. You have reflective details. There's an N logo on the side that has de-embossed line details. You have a full-length FuelCell midsole along with ENCAP midsole cushioning, which combines soft foam with a durable polyurethane rim. So anyway, that's a little backstory. I guess like 22 years later, now we have an updated version. So comparing the two different versions side by side, I have a couple notes that I wanted to share with you guys. First thing is they both have lots of different reflective elements on the upper. I like that they utilize it in small but like functional spaces. Like the tongue section down here has reflective piece, the ends on the sides, as well as the back tab. Also the new 991 circle here on the side has that reflective nature. So I like that they actually have little bits of elements on every angle. Kind of one of those functional things that makes logical sense if you're going to be wearing these out and about. You want to have reflective details everywhere. But they're not so overpowering in size that it takes away like the nice pigskin over top of the shoe. Which leads us to another thing that's similar on both of the pairs is the high quality pigskin for the suede. Super nice on both of them. Obviously you're paying $220, $250. You want it to be nice and you want it to be high quality, and I feel like they definitely deliver that. It's no surprise here in this product. Also, the overall comfort in these are pretty awesome as well. Now the new version does have FuelCell, and I'll get more into that in a second, but the overall comfort of both of these are actually really quite good. I would say that the new version is a little bit more comfortable, obviously because of the FuelCell, but it's not like a traditional FuelCell sneaker like the FuelCell Super Comp trainers or the Rebel V3s. So much firmer on feet than obviously something like that. But a lot of people prefer the 990 series over some of the softer, squishier stuff on the market just because it's more functional to wear and it's not as soft and squishy. Some people don't really want that, and I get that. So it's a good amount of comfort overall in the midsoles, and the more you wear the shoes, obviously the better they're going to feel for your feet. Your feet are going to adapt very well to like a nice premium product like this. Also, because of everything in the midsole that I talked about, is the stability of the shoe is going to be quite good as well. Again, adding to the more functionality of the product. It's a very beautiful, simplistic, functional pair of sneakers, and I think that that's something that New Balance has captured in a lot of different models, and this is just the latest and greatest one. I also do have a video review of the 990 V6. If you guys want to see like a comparison between these two, that might be a good one actually as well. This one features FuelCell as well, made in the USA, and this one features FuelCell but made in the UK. Also, something similar on both of the models is the overall traction in the outsole. It's thick traction. There's definitely a lot of rubber down here, so it feels pretty nice. Durability is definitely going to be good on both of these because of that. Overall weights, you have 14 ounces on the V2s, 14 ounces on the V1s, 12.9 ounces on the 990 V6s. Now, as for some of the differences between these two, I think the most notable one that makes the V2 that much better, in my opinion, is the overall shape of the tongue. I didn't really love the fact that the tongue on the V1 was like too low cut, and they definitely rounded it out, made it a little bit taller on the V2, and I like that they did that. They also took the leather patch on the tongue. In the previous one, it kind of went up and over, and now it's just kind of sewn on in the middle of the tongue. I think overall balance and symmetry of the sneaker, it looks a lot better in the second version than the first version. It's a small change, but honestly, it makes a big difference on feet. It feels much better, at least for my feet. Also, another thing that they did for the second version, they actually added a little bit more suede reinforcement over the big toe, and I think that that's also pretty important to have. Anytime you have a little bit of extra material over a high traffic area, I think it's a smart move. And obviously the other major change is the FuelCell integration in the midsole. So the V2s definitely feel a lot more comfortable directly out of the box. You put them on your feet and you immediately feel like you've had like a broken in comfortable pair of sneakers. I feel like the V1 you probably have to wear a bit more and then get that natural progression of like the break-in feel, which is not a bad thing to do, and you can get that on both of them. But I think overall wearability straight out of the box, because of the FuelCell integration, makes it a little bit easier to throw these on and have added immediate comfort versus having to break in a little bit. I feel like this is already pre-broken in and is just perfectly comfortable. So the edge again going to the V2s. So the newer version is a little bit better overall in my opinion. The tongue height, the added reinforcement on the toe, the midsole comfort is better, but there are a couple downfalls as well that I wanted to mention, at least in my opinion. One of the negatives that I could see is the reinforcement around the lace holes. It feels like it's a little bit thinner than on the previous version. There's an extra piece of suede that runs down the eyelids in the previous version, and you don't have that in the newer version. I think the overall streamlined look looks better on the newer version. However, I feel like this is going to get a little bit more flimsier. Probably not a big deal, but just wanted to point it out. Also, the price point increase, $30 increase over the other version. So these ones right here you can get from New Balance's website right now. Again, I'll link both of them in the description. And this one is $220. This one is $250 right out of the box. And I know that we're at that point right now where everything is just overpriced and like inflated like crazy. I feel like that has happened to this model here, being $250 instead of $220. Now that being said, there is leather versions of the 991s that are available for $260, so just even a little bit more than these. But I just wanted to point it out, $30 more is pretty significant for most people out there, including myself. So pointing it out. And another thing, if I just have to nitpick a little bit, there was a little bit of glue stains all over the shoe. So obviously you're paying $250, you're paying for the upper crust of like what the New Balance line offers, and having like glue stains and stuff in the midsole and stuff was just a little bit, I was like, that's kind of a bummer. Like I would hope not to see that. At the end of the day, stuff like that can just be pulled off like pretty easily, but I just wanted to call it out. Also, the last thing I wanted to note, just something that I found interesting, they kind of went away with the made in England branding on the shoes. Now, it does say that they're made in England if you read the small print behind the tongue, but you don't have a big flag or anything like that that signifies that these are made in the UK. And to be fair, the 990 V6s were made in the USA, and the older versions had like a big flag that said made in the USA. This one just has a little thing here that says made in the USA. So maybe they're going away from the branding like that. I'm not sure exactly why, but I wanted to call it out. It is something a little bit different. You don't have any like bold branding that says made in the UK like on the previous. Anyways, as I mentioned, there's lots of similarities between the previous and the latest and greatest versions of the 991s. And I like the subtle differences and changes to make this an upgraded, newer version, but they didn't go so far off the handles where you're like, what model is this? Like it definitely has an identifiable look to it in my mind of the 991. But obviously done in a little bit of a different way. And I mean, if you look at them both hand in hand, like the toe down looks pretty much the same because you do have kind of the same sort of panels with the mesh and reflective details. The heel looks fairly similar as well, with the exception of the leather cutout. It was a little bit different and the little placement of the circle. But all in all, they made some nice welcome changes to the 991 V2, and I'm happy that I got a pair of them. Leave a comment in the comment section. Did you guys get them or not? Is the price point just too outrageous for you guys? Because this is one of those shoes that, from what I see, it never really goes on sales. Anyways, that's all we have. I appreciate you all for stopping by and watching. Again, if you guys want to buy a pair of these, limited sizing left. They do have the previous ones, as well as I'll list out the 990 V6s. But if you guys do use my links to New Balance's website in the description, it lets New Balance know that you guys directly support the channel. Greatly appreciate it when you guys do that. I do get a little bit of a kickback as well that definitely supports me, supports my family and the channel. So I appreciate everybody that does that. Have a good rest of the day, though. Thank you guys for stopping by and watching. Hopefully see you back on the channel for some more content. All right, peace, guys.